Hey, welcome. Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining me on this online class. This class is very similar to what I would usually do in a class setting, like in an in-person class setting. I'm going to cut it down a little bit because usually my in-class will run almost an hour by the time we have all the questions, and obviously we won't have that here, but I just really hope it's a way for you to be able to gain some knowledge and some insight into what would happen at a class. It's still really a great experience to attend a class, even if you've already been a doTERRA or an essential oil user for a while, just to be able to have the interaction and the questions. And but this is a great opportunity for those of you who've been curious for a while and haven't made it out. I really hope that you find this helpful. And for those of you who are across the ocean or far enough away that a class is not super convenient. So I'm just going to take 1 second to do a quick screen share here. I'd like to get up a few slides, and then we will begin. We'll jump right into it. Okay. Okay, so again, welcome. I really appreciate your time. I love this part of what I do. I love being able to teach people about how to use essential oils in their home. I really believe it's not the only piece of the puzzle, but it is a really big piece of the puzzle when you are making a choice to live a very natural and holistic lifestyle at home. And I'm sure that most of you have already a little bit of knowledge about essential oils, or if not, you've definitely heard, it's kind of a buzzword right now. You know, we hear of essential oils a lot. We can buy them really anywhere. And so I'd like to talk today and just address like why this is becoming such a big deal and what all the hype is about, whether or not it's valid or not, which obviously you know that I think it is, and I'd like to set out to discuss why I think it is a fantastic way of taking care of some of our own health issues at home. So we'll talk about why essential oils are considered to be the new healthcare and the new self-care. We'll talk about why specifically doTERRA, and so this is really a big deal to me, why doTERRA is the most tested, most trusted company in the world, and then we'll talk about how to use them safely. That's a big piece for a lot of people, is there's so much information out there, and so how do we know, even if we know that these are potent substances, how do we use them safely in our own home? And then finally, we'll discuss how you can, if you're ready to take that step, how you can get some of these lovely oils into your own home. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this. Before we jump right into it, I would like to just speak a little bit to who I am and my story. So most of you probably know me, but if you don't, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Laura Mendonça. I am the founder of Flourish, and I am a mom to two beautiful little girls who are everything in our world. And my background is a registered nurse, so I still do some nursing by day, I like to say, and at night, a wellness educator, really not just by night. Over the last couple of years, and I'll speak to that, my passion for natural health care has just flourished and just exploded, and it's become a passion, become something I'm passionate about, teaching other people about, because I think a lot of people are at that place where they're ready to try something new. And I think a lot of people are at a place where they see that there's some flaws and there's some issues with the way that we've been taught and the way that we've grown up in the current medical model that we have. And so I would like to just quickly speak a little bit to that. My own story, as I said, it's been one that's been developing over quite a few years. And this is really so personal to me, because I've had a health struggle, and it's been one that has not been super obvious to a lot of people. It's one I stayed very quiet about for many years. You know, that we have certain diagnoses that are very obvious and very out in the open. mine was never that. Shortly sometime after, really after high school, I noticed changes in myself and in my body, in my energy, in my lack of ability to focus and to concentrate. My just general feeling of unwellness started around that time. And I investigated it. We did lots of tests. Some came back, for the most part, everything came back normal, and I was told everything is fine. And as the years progressed, I'm just kind of condensing the story. It's much longer than this, but as the years progressed, I just went downhill really fast. I got to the point where my whole body was aching. My joints would ache. I would wake up. I just felt like I was like 90 years old. I had no energy. I remember various times after having my kids, and like having kids was a whole nother story that added to this. But I remember times where I would pull over from the side of the road because my brain fog was so heavy. I didn't even feel safe driving. And so all of this accumulating, and really, after seeking so much help from our medical system, I got a lot of, I got always the same answer, that everything came back normal and you're fine. And so many years I accepted that as an answer until, like I said, it got to the point where I wasn't really functioning anymore. I was heavy into just feeling depressed about my current state. For anyone who's walked through something like this, you know what I'm talking about, that debilitating feeling when nobody knows what's going on, but you know in your body that you are not who you really are. And then just as a mom, all the guilt and really the self-condemnation that came with that, of feeling like, what is wrong with me? And so it came to a point for me that I really started to decide, no, this is not okay, and this is not normal. And so I started to seek out some of my own answers. Parallel to that point in time, at the same time, we were having a lot of health issues with my oldest daughter at the time. She was sick constantly. She was on antibiotics about every 4 months, and some other issues that we'd been getting her tested for that were quite serious. And I started looking into things like the GAPS theory. So this talks to like the connection of your gut and psychology and taking care of your gut health. And we started implementing some of these changes, and I saw such huge change and growth in her. And so this whole, it's like once you start to learn about the natural health world, right, it opens up so much information. And sometimes you have to sift through it and figure out what works for me and what doesn't. But my experience was, especially through things like herbs and supplements, and even later on in my journey, essential oils. And I started to learn how these things were absolutely changing my health and my life. And I started to feel so much more empowered to make decisions and to trust my body and to trust myself. And I also, it just really aligned with the natural approach. That I really believe that we have an amazing creator who created beautiful things in our world that he knew and that he had intended to really heal our bodies. And so all of that just made so much sense to me, and I grew in my confidence and grew in my learning. And so that's where this passion comes from for me. So I hope that comes through. I hope that really speaks to where my journey has been, and that it can be beneficial to some of you who maybe feel like they have been walking down that road. And so just quickly touching on a few of the things that I believe, I mentioned some of these already, but again, I'm a registered nurse, and I want to make it very clear that I'm very grateful for the system that we have. I think that there is definitely a time and place for modern medicine, and I am grateful for it. But I do believe that we can take the natural health and the current medical model that we have right now, and they can coexist together. And I do really believe that it is worth exploring the natural solutions that we have on hand before taking a synthetic approach. And I think there's a lot of research and a lot of new evidence to support that things that are synthetic and that are not natural have a lot higher risk of side effects and just generally poor effects on our body. And so where we can take natural approaches, I think it's really important to do that. I really believe that our bodies were designed to heal itself when it's given the right tools. And again, I'm not saying that we will never get sick and that we will never know. We live in a toxic world. Clearly, there's we have a lot of things working against us. It's not a perfect world, but I do think that our bodies are amazing machines that were designed when given the right tools to heal itself. And then our behavior really is an expression of our beliefs. And I mentioned this before. I really believe that our world is incredible. It is so complex, and it is complex intentionally. And I really truly believe that this was all created with a master design. And part of this master design is that a lot of the gifts of the earth are there to help us to heal and to be well and to be healthy. And so the way that I live is an expression of that. And finally, speaking to so many people, and I still currently work at a doctor's office where we see so many people come in who are just unwell. And this is where, again, it resonates with my story. I know that feeling of just not feeling healthy. And I think sometimes we can live in that for so long that we just don't even know what it's like to feel vibrant and healthy anymore. And but then once we do, I can't help but be passionate about it, because you realize that there's so much, we're capable of so much more. We have so much more to offer when our health is in place and we are feeling well. We can be better moms and better friends and better people, and more efficient with our time. And so I really hope that this speaks to somebody in that regard. I love this saying, just quickly. It's a Chinese proverb. It's about all I know from Chinese proverbs, but I've heard it over and over, and I feel it really encompasses what I'm trying to speak to here when we're speaking about natural health care. And so it says, you give a poor man a fish and you feed him for a day. You teach him to fish and you give him an occupation that will feed him for a lifetime. And again, just speaking to my feeling once I started to find solutions that worked for me, that I could research, that I could understand how they were working for my own body, or just try and know from how I felt that it was working. Like, that is so empowering. And honestly, with these oils, one of the most beautiful things that I've seen in my life and in the lives of those who I've worked with and work around me is just that empowerment to have something on hand to be able to rely on and to know that works, that you feel confident about, that we are not having to, I think in general, our society and this generation is really moving away from that that idea of going to visit the doctor and you just do whatever the doctor says. And no diss to doctors. I mean, they're incredible people. But I do think there's something to be said for being able to take a little bit of control of ourselves and our health and the decisions that we make. So that's a huge goal behind Doterra as a company. It's a really huge desire that I have when I'm teaching others, is that we can learn how to feel confident in the solutions that we have on hand. So just quickly want to speak to, again, this dynamic of the model we've currently been working with, and the model that really we need to be working towards. So we call these the two choices. And it's very clear that our medical system, while great for certain things, it was set up to deal with acute disease, not the epic proportions of chronic disease that we are seeing now. And this is, I don't think anyone would really deny this. I had a conversation a while back with a family member about how, it was said that the life expectancy is now longer, or it hasn't changed, and that we're, also concerned about health, but the health expectancy is there. And that is possibly true. However, I would really challenge us to think, is our quality of life there? Because I don't know about you, but when I look around and I see how unwell we are as a society, and statistically this is true too, we are not living with vibrant life and quality of life. And I feel that all around us, people are getting sick with these debilitating issues. And so looking at the current medical model that we have, the difference between that and what we are trying to attain with using a natural approach is the current medical model, again, really set up to deal with acute disease. So when you have something acute, you're really just looking to address the symptoms, okay? So we have a symptom, let's give you something for that symptom. So it's usually, a medication that's prescribed, and then unfortunately, the reality is that synthetic things that we put into our body, they have side effects, whether it be initially or just compiling over time. And so we are stuck in this circle of have this issue, I have this symptom, now what I do, okay, let's take something for it, and then we're treating the side effects of the side effects, and on it goes. What we want to look at doing, and what is really empowering, is to be able to have the choice to have something natural that nature produces, and the premise behind natural solutions is that you are giving your body something that it needs in order for your body, again, to heal itself. And so it's a similar approach to, if you think of why do we need vitamins, right? The vitamin itself is not always necessarily going to be fighting a disease, for example, or fighting your cold, but the vitamin gives your body what it needs in order to be strengthened and to then fight the disease itself, right? Or the cold, or whatever we're talking about. And so, again, going back to my health journey, when I was feeling unwell, I was in that state for so long, I don't think I knew what it was like anymore to be healthy. And so my question to you, just rhetorical in some ways, or not so much rhetorical, but one for you to think on and contemplate, is how would you define healthy? Does it mean the absence of disease? Does it mean to you, you know what, I don't need this stuff because I'm pretty, I don't have any chronic diseases, I don't have any big diagnoses, so I'm good. So, and I think that's the way a lot of people perceive health. My challenge would be that health is not the absence of disease, but rather a feeling of wellness and health, and vibrancy and confidence, and feeling strong in ourselves and in our body. So one thing I love about, one of the things that I love about Doterra as a company is that we recognize holistic health not being just about, for example, essential oils, okay? I would never say to somebody that one oil you can out-oil a bad diet, for example, or bad lifestyle choices. We really appreciate that health has to do with the whole system. And so one of the things after you sign up with me, myself, and my team, we do wellness consults. So it's about an hour. You don't have to, but you have the option to do it. And one of the things that we like to look at, which I think is beautiful, is what areas of our life could we like just up it a bit, could we improve on? And so, if we look at this diagram here, eating right, we all know eating right is important. We all know exercise is important, but maybe there's little tweaks here and there that we can do just to up our game a bit. As we start to go up in the diagram, I would definitely say that we start, the base ones, even if we're not doing it, everyone knows about them. As we get up, I think people maybe put less emphasis on these things, but they are severely important. So things like rest and managing our stress. And I think as moms, this is a huge one for us, right? Sometimes it's a bit out of our control. But so many people, again, looking at the doctor's office where I work, so many people struggle with sleep issues. Reducing toxic load, this is huge. This is so huge, and it is so often missed when we're considering what can I do to improve my health and wellness. This is a very big one, and there's so many things in our own homes that we don't even realize that can be influencing our health our health negatively, right? So really important to look at all of these different areas. I'm not going to get too into detail with this right now, but they're all things that really support the whole person. And as we look at these things, then we can look above. So these are obviously our lifestyle issues. We can look above the dotted line and start to move into, once we've addressed the lifestyle, how can we take a little bit of control of our own healthcare at home, and informed self-care, and being proactive in our medical care. And that's another thing that obviously we like to address with oils and all of these things, eating right, and etc. Okay, so let's get into it. So what are essential oils? Many of you probably know this already, but maybe not the nitty-gritties of it. I'll try and keep it a little bit less sciencey, even though I love the sciencey kind of stuff. But essentially they are these things called volatile aromatic compounds. So they are taken from so many parts of plants, right? So some oils come from leaves, some come from stems, some come from bark, some come from flowers. Really depends on the oil, but essential oils, if we think about it in terms of what is it to the plant, what are oils to the plant? Plants don't have an immune system like we do. And so essential oils are the chemical compounds that plants use for things like their defense against disease or pests or the elements. So they are essential for sure to the plants, and they help to ensure that the health of the plant is looked after. And so our bodies are able to metabolize and to recognize these compounds very readily, and that's what makes it so beautiful, is how natural they are. And so I'll just if you look at the screen, and you look at the bottom corner of the screen, you can see that's peppermint obviously there. And if you've ever in cooking or just taken a leaf from a peppermint plant, and kind of rubbed it between your fingers, essentially what you're doing is breaking those little sacs, those white sacs that you see in the picture, and you're releasing the essential oils from that leaf. And so we are familiar with essential oils without even really knowing. Essential oils are very, very potent, very concentrated. Okay, so just again using peppermint as an example, one drop of peppermint, they say, is stronger than about 35 cups of herbal tea. So you're getting like a lot of bang for your buck in these things. Okay, and herbs have been a huge part in my healing, my physical healing. And so that kind of is what even drew me into this idea of using essential oils, because I already had so much trust in so many different herbs for my supplements. And then knowing that essential oils are just becoming so researched, and that they also come from plants and they're concentrated, it just was fascinating to me. And looking at, again, I won't get into it too much, but oils really affect us on a cellular level. I was at a conference some time ago, and they were speaking to something called epigenetics. And so, for so many years, we have thought that our genes were just our genes and you couldn't change them. And now they're discovering, over the last, so many years, they're discovering this amazing concept and proven this concept that we can actually through this thing called epigenetics, have an effect on our genes. And so while we may be more, prone to one thing or another, the things that we put in our body can have an effect on our genes. And so they're seeing that essential oils have a similar, effect, and they work on a cellular level. It's really just fascinating. So they're not just pretty smells. The research is constantly ongoing, and there's a lot to dig into still, but a lot of really, really amazing stuff. And they're nothing new. So essential oils have been around for as long as there's been documentation of any kind of healthcare. They've been used in healthcare, but they are also in our daily lives, even before we knew about essential oils. They're used in many things. So you have oils that can be used in synthetic products. That's a synthetic grade. Okay, so in like household cleaning products, for example. Essential oils are nothing new in terms of the culinary world. So that would be food grade. And then we have what we call therapeutic grade, which is still one step further than food grade. Okay, and that's what we're talking about when we talk about doTERRA's oils. And so we classify doTERRA's oils as a certified pure therapeutic grade. Now I know there's so much talk around what does that mean, and so one thing to understand about the world of essential oils is that there's no regulating body over top of oils, or in fact a lot of health products, natural health products, unfortunately. So what that means is that any company can claim that their bottle of oil that they are selling you is pure. So you can go to your Dollarama and find essential oils there, and it may say on the bottle 100% pure oil, and they have to have a very small percentage of that actual oil, and then they can claim that this bottle is 100% natural oil, even though it's absolutely not. And so doTERRA basically had to create this system of testing, as does every company. Some of them just choose not to, but so essentially had to create this CPTG testing. But I would, I always tell people, do your research. I'm not here to force you into believing what I believe. I've done my research, and I align with doTERRA because of what I believe to be the best and the purest testing. We use third-party testing by a very reputable, internationally renowned company. I've spoken actually with them at a different conference I was at some time ago, and spoken with somebody from there who said, quite frankly, doTERRA is the only big company out there who tests as rigorously as they do, and they are the most transparent, and I'll get into that a little bit later. So I like to ask this question in my live classes, which is, what do you know about doTERRA already? And a lot of people have heard of us because we are the #1 essential oil company in the world, but many people don't know why. And so, again, just getting into that, we've really set the bar for purity and potency. To speak to this, every bottle of oil that you buy, you will get, it's kind of like a little call number on the bottom of the bottle. And you can go on to a website called sourcetoyou.com. And there you can plug in, maybe I'll do a little webinar on this sometime, but you can actually plug in your call number, and it will display to you all the testing and all the results that one bottle has gone through. And so many companies will have something similar to this, not necessarily a website, but they will do batch products. And so there's a lot more ways things can go wrong. And by using, so doTERRA actually allows us to see each individual bottle and what testing has been done. And oftentimes it's way over my head. It's very, like chromatology and all this sciencey stuff that I don't know, but I do appreciate that, again, because this testing has been done by a third party who doesn't want to put their reputation in jeopardy, and they're posting these results, they are held accountable to that. And doTERRA in the past has even had times when there's been something amiss with one of the batches, and they will actually pull the oils from, like, stop production until things get finished, and sometimes we'll see a break in sales, that product won't be available for some time until the issue is cleared. And so they really have a heart for purity. And because of that purity, we know that these oils are distilled properly, and that they are potent. And so the potency obviously is going to affect the quality of the results that we're going to get from the oils too. And I really believe that's why people love doTERRA. We have such a high retention rate compared to other companies, because people come back because these oils work. And I've seen that in my life, and it's just amazing. So another really beautiful thing about this company is we source all over the world. And they are really, really intentional about looking for the best quality. And so if you think about it like this, where a plant is meant to grow is where it's going to be the healthiest, and it's going to have the best quality oils. So, something that's grown, for example, in a greenhouse where there's no pests, there's no elements to deal with, it's not going to be the same strong plant that it would be out in nature. And so sourcing where it comes from is really, really important to doTERRA. It's important that it's free of contaminants and pesticides, and again, subjected to that rigorous testing. And so, yes, this speaks to source to you. Another beautiful thing about doTERRA is in their sourcing is how they care for the communities that they are working with. And I could go on and on about this, but there are some beautiful, beautiful videos and documentaries and stories of how doTERRA has really taken communities that were struggling, and they've seen the potential to partner with them where other people haven't. And so on so many levels, you know, guys, like, you'll often hear people mumble a bit about sometimes the price of our oils versus what you could get, say, maybe at Walmart or, you know, other places. And you have to question if you're paying $20 for a bottle of frankincense, for example, once you learn the process of how, you know, our frankincense, it grows in Somalia in the middle of a desert, and it's extremely hard to get to and to harvest. And it's it makes you wonder how can an oil that is so much work and so hard to source come across so cheaply. And not only are you potentially sacrificing your quality, but you also have to ask, is the person that harvested this getting a fair trade, a fair pay for this? And I love that doTERRA's heart is to make sure that that all happens fairly. So again, just looking at this is what our website Source to You looks like. Go there sometime and you can check it out. It's just a great resource to have, and to know that that transparency is there speaks volumes to doTERRA as a company. And again, we work with growers sustainably producing. You know, doTERRA is very intentional about making sure that everything that we harvest is sustainable and we are not doing damage to the world. Some things are not available to everyone globally throughout doTERRA. So for example, in Australia, they have different products that we can't have because of the sourcing availability of it. So I just love that they're very intentional. These are just to give you an idea of the global perspective of where we harvest our oils from. And again, the quality testing, we won't go through all that. That's, you know, it's a little bit intense. So also, we're not going to watch this video. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to skip through this. Okay, so let's get into how we can use essential oils. So 3 main ways. Okay, so aromatically, so that would be using something like a diffuser and dispelling the oils into the air, helping us to breathe it in. It can be very cleansing. The great thing about aromatic use is you can benefit the whole family. For example, if you have a diffuser running in your kitchen and everyone can be breathing in at the same time. So it's a great way to use it. Plus it smells awesome. So we can get rid of like the really toxic candles and air fresheners, that kind of thing. Topically, I would say in our house, this has been the most amazing way to use our oils for my girls, for myself. We've had so many great benefits using oils topically under, you know, with the right safety guidelines. And our doTERRA oils you can use internally. Again, knowing which oils you can and can't use internally obviously is important, but just like, you know, we do have to treat the oils a little bit like, I wouldn't say like medication, but we need to understand how to use them. And so something that we shouldn't be ingesting, obviously, like you know, a Douglas fir, we wouldn't necessarily eat, you know, our Christmas tree, those kind of things. So we have to have a knowledge of what we can use internally, but it can be a great way to really utilize the power of these oils. Again, diffusing them aromatically, just being able to breathe them in has an effect on us, both physically and emotionally. And guys, I'll be totally honest, like I struggled a lot with this whole like emotional aspect of oils for quite a long time. And just, you know, I had seen the benefits physically, but using oils for emotional support, I struggled with really like, okay, is this true? And the more I have dug into it, heard stories from other people, and even just thought about it more from a scientific perspective, it really makes so much sense. You know, we have receptors in our olfactory, so like us after we breathe things in that connect to our brain, and in the same way that we know smells can give us an emotional memory. For example, you know, like if you grew up in a house where your mom was always cooking beautiful baking, and you walk into a house and you smell fresh baked bread, and it kind of has that emotional memory for you. And so our smells definitely can trigger emotions. And so the science behind, you know, a lavender oil that is known to be a calming oil is absolutely a physical thing that happens, and it's so many people have had wonderful benefits even just by using oils aromatically. Using them topically, again, as I said, we use them so much topically in our home. There's, you know, you just have to learn proper safety. Dilutions is really the biggest part of using them topically, and it's nothing to be scared about, really. It's as simple as, again, when you sign up with me, I make sure that you have all these resources. That's another beautiful thing about doTERRA is you're really not just buying into the oils, you're buying into a culture and into an education. You are set up, you know, with a team. We have a team of over 60,000, I believe, in my upper umbrella team. So you have so many resources at hand to learn how to properly use these oils and what you can use them for. And an example I always give to people is just diluting 1 drop of essential oils in 1 teaspoon of a carrier oil as an adult dose, and then a tablespoon for kids is just a good rule of thumb to begin with if you haven't been using oils very much. Some oils can be used what we call neat, so that means with no carrier oil. Carrier oil is just any oil that is that you're able to put on your skin, essentially. So a very common one that we use is fractionated coconut oil. So it's a coconut oil that is liquidy, and it's very mild. It's really easy to mix with things, but you could use anything, even olive oil if you had it at home. And the benefit to diluting, aside from reducing the chance of sensitivities, so for safety reasons, aside from that, if you think of it just like saran wrap is how it was explained beautifully to me. So oftentimes, for example, at night when we put oils on our feet, I will put a drop or 2 of oil on our feet and then just cover it over top with carrier oil, and it kind of just helps to seal it in, because if we remember the words volatile, right, these are volatile aromatic compounds, so their tendency is to want to evaporate, and the carrier oil just helps them to not evaporate nearly as quickly, and helps it to be absorbed into the skin. So it's actually giving you an advantage if you use dilution and if you use a carrier oil. And again, internally, I won't speak too much to this. There is a lot of controversy, I would say, and interestingly enough, very few essential oil companies will say that their oils are safe to take internally. Again, I really think that speaks to doTERRA's quality and testing. But there are some amazing uses for essential oils internally. And again, speaking out of my own health journey, one of the biggest turning points in my health was learning about the effect of and the strength of oregano. I went to a health conference in Toronto quite a few years ago, and there was a doctor there who was speaking to research that he had been doing on oregano oil and supplements, and I started a protocol that he had set out, and it was the first time in so many years that I started to feel well, and I was just blown away. And so there's a lot of benefits to using essential oils internally, and I would love to speak more to that sometime for those of you who are interested as to know how to do that safely. But even just something as simple as putting drops of lemon in our water. Lemon is extremely cleansing. You know, lemon water is good for us in the same way, you know, lemon drops in our water can be really beneficial to our bodies. So it's another great way to use them. And again, safety is really important. It's always a fine line, I find, speaking to people about this topic of safety, because we don't want to get to the point where we are, thinking of oils in terms of the same, like with the same pharmaceutical mindset that we've grown up with. So, you have to take the Tylenol every 4 to 6 hours. And if you do too many doses, you can overdose. And oils are not like that. You don't want to chug a whole bottle of lemon oil, but within your common sense, really we want to follow safety guidelines, because we can, the incidences of any kind of sensitivity is super low with essential oils, but there can be there can be some skin sensitivities, mainly is the the most common thing that would be reported. So we want to make sure that we are introducing them to our bodies in as low dose as possible. And even just in terms of effectiveness, they found that when you want to gain more effectiveness out of the oils that you're using, it's increasing your dose is not as important as the frequency, okay? So it's like if you're using 2 drops of something, 4 drops is not necessarily better. 2 drops, maybe a little bit more frequently, is actually more effective. And so even in terms of, being efficient with our finances, we don't want to be using more oils than we need to. Definitely with kids and with babies, we can use oils and they can be safe. But again, they're very, very sensitive skin, and we want to make sure that we are taking care to start kind of at the lowest dose that we need to, and then building up if we find that it's a better, more efficient by increasing a little bit. So a general rule of thumb is to remember 1 drop for kids, 1 drop of essential oil in about a teaspoon of a carrier oil. For adults, 1 to 2 drops really of an essential oil in a teaspoon. For kids, a tablespoon is what I say. 1 drop in a tablespoon. Adults, 1 drop in a teaspoon. Okay, and just with oils, to use them using them topically is just a reminder that we would never put them in eyes or ears, never inside orifices of our body. Okay, again, less is more, so use it more frequently as opposed to more drops. And we just want to make sure that they're properly stored, and that's just again to help to keep them longer, to make sure the potency stays, and they're aromatic and volatile, right? So we want to make sure that the caps are on and that they are properly sealed away, so we don't have little hands that decide to just chug a bottle. That wouldn't be good. Okay, so I said I was going to keep this kind of short, but I love this stuff so much I just could keep talking. Okay, so our most popular oils, the top 10 oils, and a lot of our kits that I can speak to in the end start off with these top 10 oils, because really, I've heard it said so many times that these top 10 oils, you can look after 80% of the health issues that will come up in your home. And so it's just so empowering to have these really common ones. There is a plethora of other beautiful oils that I use, and that as you get into it, you'll see there's just so many applications, which is amazing. But this is a great way to start. The top 10, you'll find that there's a ton of uses for these babies. So, okay. I love this little chart. Just, I know that this is an investment for a lot of people, but when we, again, look at how potent these things are, and, something like a lemon oil or lavender oil, 1 drop is so potent, and breaking it down, each 15 ml bottles, you're going to have 250 drops in there. And so it breaks down for lemon, for example, about 5 cents per drop, tea tree, 9 cents. So if we use them well, again, to the safety chart, this is why we want to make sure that we are not using more than we need, right? So that we're efficient with it. But yeah, so if we break it down, that's about the price. I'll let you guys take a look at that. But really, a lot of these top 10 are quite reasonable in terms of price. Okay, so let's speak to peppermint. Peppermint is it's the oil with a lot of punch. It's a beautiful oil. It is one of our best-selling oils, and there's so many uses for peppermint. The couple things that we use it for a lot in our own home would be for digestion. Okay, it's a good oil to have on hand if you don't have, you know, our other blends that are digestive blends. Just putting a drop on your tummy if you have a little bit of a tummy upset. It is a cooling oil, so if you think anything when you know, hot flashes or when little ones are not well, right, and their temperatures can go up, this would be our first line of defense. To try and just keep them comfortable and keep their body temperature properly regulated. I definitely use peppermint. I love just mint in general and chocolate mint kind of combos. So I definitely use these often when I'm making a smoothie. It's great to add to bug repellents. It's great for muscle tension. So again, you'll see there's some other blends that we have, but just even this one oil, just to be able to put on, you know, where you build up tension on your body is just super effective. A lot of people who have, you know, head tension issues, extremely strong ones, find extreme relief just by using peppermint. So there's really great applications with this oil. Really, when you breathe it in, you can just like feel how it opens up your airways. So a lot of athletes, before they do sports or go for a run, will put a drop or two of peppermint and just breathe it in, and it just really opens up your airways. Lavender is, we go through lavender quite often in our home. Right now, especially as we're coming to the end of summer, lavender is beautiful for all things calming. Okay, so it's considered a calmative oil. Lots of research done on this. So aromatically, it's very calming. This is like our go-to for bug bites. I have to say my youngest daughter is the kid who would get like welts of bug bites, and lavender oil, if you catch it as soon as you can, is best. It's more effective if you get it right, you know, as soon as you notice you have a bug bite. But she loves this oil because she knows it takes the scratches away, and so as soon as she gets bug bites, she is getting the lavender on and her welts are gone. And it is super soothing. We used to have issues even with like afterbite and the actual, you know, pharmaceutical type afterbite stuff. It really wouldn't relieve the itching for her, and lavender has been amazing for that. So even just any kind of skin perfections, again, because it's calming, it's very calming for your skin. So any redness, rashes, burns, that kind of thing, it's great. To have a bath with some lavender in it is super relaxing. We use lavender on the bottoms of our kids' feet often. Super supportive of sleep. And my oldest daughter is the kid who, like, you can flick a light on and she is awake, and we have noticed that every night that we put oils on the bottoms of her feet, she is sound asleep. And it's just amazing. So it's a great oil to have on hand. Lemon oil. So if you just think all things cleansing, purifying, right? So many of us have heard of the trend of lemon water, and there's so much truth to that. It's just very detoxifying, and lemon oil is no different. It's great for making things like homemade cleaners. So again, when we look back to that diagram that talked about reducing toxic load, we make all of our homemade cleaners now with mixture of water, vinegar, lemon oil. It is super great at removing like sticky things, but it's also internally cleansing, right? So that's why drinking lemon oil in the water is very purifying. It's a great digestive aid, supports healthy respiratory function. It's one of the main oils in a combination of 3 oils, lavender, peppermint, and lemon, that really supports people who have issues with seasonal allergies and season change, that kind of thing. And just the smell, like, diffuse lemon in your kitchen and just tell me it doesn't smell heavenly and clean and very mood uplifting. So again, a very economical oil and so many uses. Going on to tea tree oil. Tea tree, if you just think everything first aid, tea tree is beautiful for keeping as your home first aid kit. Anytime we have any skin, cuts, things like that we want to make sure they stay clean and to help to repair. We use tea tree. We use tea tree even sometimes, again, on the mosquito bites, a combination of lavender and tea tree if it's like been scratched a lot. It's super great for promoting healthy immune function. So when I make up roller balls, I could talk about that later, but when I make up little roller balls for supporting immune health, we add tea tree in. It's great for the start of right now, September, when we're worried about, well, not worried, but when you want to avoid any kind of little critters in the head, if you know what I'm talking about, as kids go back to school. Again, helps protecting against environment and seasonal threats. And yeah, great for skin. Lots of anything that's like, you know, if you think fungal, it's super antifungal. Okay, so anything, you know, going on with your feet, if you've got kids who are in sports, locker rooms, enough said, tea tree is a great one to have on hand. Oregano oil. Again, I've already spoken to this a little bit, but it is like your step up in terms of immune support. Oregano is really like your natural antibiotic, really. It is super antibacterial, antifungal, and all those things. And it does offer really powerful antioxidants, which is really cool. So again, because we can use our oils internally, even using this for cooking, if you don't have the fresh herbs on hand or you want an extra little punch. So I just want to speak to, a lot of people have kind of heard about oregano oil and it's become a little bit more mainstream, and if, you know, taking the oregano oil drops when they're not feeling well. This oregano oil is not like those drops that you get at the health food store or the grocery store. You do not want to drop this into your mouth. You will burn, you will burn your mouth. It is a very hot oil. It is very potent. So please don't just drop Doterra oregano oil into your mouth. Okay, we can use it to support us internally, but there's ways to do that. And so, you know, you can get little super cheap, like $5 for a huge bottle of vegetable gel caps. So that would be one way to do it. Is just if you're feeling unwell, you want to support your immune system, you can add some carrier oil and a drop of oregano oil in a capsule and take it in that way, or we can use it diluted as well topically. So you know, topically, and again, just it's a very hot oil, so you want to be careful with dilution and that kind of thing, but really using it internally and in kitchen baking or with capsules is a great way. Again, adding it to something like tea tree for its antifungal properties. So if you have like some toenail funk going on, that kind of thing, we have had super great results in that regard. So oregano is just a powerhouse of an oil. Frankincense. Oh, it's like one of my favorite oils. I probably say that about a lot of oils, but frankincense is often called the king of the oils. And it was given to our king, you know, baby Jesus, if you follow biblical stories. And I really believe, like, just to speak to that, I really believe, like, you know, historically, I believe the Bible is accurate, and I believe that, like, the Magi, the wise men, they clearly were called wise men. They must have known that there was something to this oil, right? And so even that alone just provokes some interest as to what's going on. And there's been it's probably one of the most studied oils in terms of how it affects us on a cellular level, and it's really quite fascinating. It's a very grounding oil, so a lot of people find it extremely calming. It's extremely great for supporting your immune system. So again, when I make up, when we're not feeling well, when I make up mixtures, frankincense is definitely always in there. You can take it internally. Some people will just put a drop, you know, on the bottom of underneath their tongue, or you can use those veggie caps. Frankincense has rejuvenated my skin. So I won't speak too much to it, but I used to have really bad sunspots, and so just dark patches on my skin that I was told I can do nothing about aside from pay for an expensive pharmaceutical product that was essentially bleaching my skin. And I, you know, started reading up on rosehip oil and frankincense oil, and I started using that, and within about 6 months it has disappeared, and which is amazing. So frankincense has just so much potential. I think we haven't even really tapped into all the things it can do. So doTERRA has some amazing blends of oils. So it's not just one oil, but a blend that has of oils that is specifically put together for a specific purpose. So one of the oils that we love is called Breathe, or actually in Canada we call it Easy Air. And it's a combination of things like eucalyptus and peppermint and tea tree. And these are all oils that are there to help support our respiratory system, to help, like open up airways. Again, a lot of athletes will use this oil in order to just promote lung capacity. A lot of people love it at nighttime when there's some sniffles in the house, just leaving it diffusing in a bedroom in order to keep airways working well. So it's a lovely blend to have. We have also some other products that are made with this blend, similar to like a Vicks Vapor Rub kind of thing for kids. And it's all natural and all safe. Deep Blue is our soothing blend. So just think anything muscular, when you have tension, when you have, you're sore from after a workout. My mother-in-law started using this, and she has found it really effective for some issues of like even some nerve sensations that she was having from maybe poor circulation in her legs. She's just been really loving this oil. And so just using this oil topically can have a lot of benefits. It's not an oil that we would take internally or use necessarily aromatically, but topically. Like this is actually an oil that a lot of men get sold on. I know that sometimes the guys are like think oils are a little bit voodoo magic until they start using them, and I can speak to that. Like honestly, my husband is probably one of my main advocates because he has really benefited from so many of these oils, and Deep Blue's definitely been one. It's not been like one that has rocked his world in terms of being super surprised, because Deep Blue has really that smell of like your A535 kind of, right? So I think it's one that's familiar to a lot of people, and it makes sense that it works, but it is very effective. We have a lot of high-level Olympic athletes that will only use this because they just love the way it works. A lot of RMTs, like massage therapists, that will use Deep Blue, and they just find the effect that they get in the deep muscular work is just amazing. And then On Guard. Again, this is our a blend that is made specifically for immune protection, immune support. Beautiful blend. I love this On Guard blend. It's lovely because you can use it in all the three ways, and aromatically it smells delicious. Like it smells very Thanksgiving-ish. Okay, so orange, clove, eucalyptus, rosemary. So putting this on in the kitchen, it's super invigorating to have smell-wise. But then again, we use On Guard when we make up blends when somebody is not feeling well to support our health. I can speak to even just 2 weeks ago, the girls came home beginning of school, stuffy noses. We made this blend, and we were very consistent about making sure we got it on them, and within a day they were back to feeling better. So much research in this combination of oils. I could go on and on about this, but you can make your own hand soap. You can definitely, we have already pre-made gel capsules that you can take if you're not feeling well. Just pop in, take those internally, and it's great for support. There you can see just our whole line of On Guard toothpaste, On Guard throat lozenges, laundry detergent, and cleaning concentrate. If you're not a DIY person, that's okay, because these are beautiful, already made for you products that are awesome. And Digestin. I love this blend. I love the smell of it, and I love what it does. There are some crazy stories of how this oil has helped people in their digestion. I didn't really find I had super big digestive issues, so I can't speak to those like blow your socks off kind of stories, but in terms of just supporting digestion when we've eaten maybe a little bit too much, I personally love the smell of it. You can smell the ginger and the peppermint and the licorice, the anise kind of smell. I love the smell of it. It's also even great. I often will keep it in my purse, and for kids when they get car sick, things like peppermint and ginger and fennel are good smells for that motion sickness. And so I'll keep some of this, and often if Nadia, my youngest, will get a little bit car sick sometimes, she just takes a couple whiffs of this, and it's really helpful. So it's just everything digestive. This is a great oil to have on hand. So that, I mean, you can see here, we are more than just oils as a company. There's so many products, and the great thing is when you enroll as a wholesale customer, you have access to all of these things at 25% discount, and they're all just natural products that we can keep on increasing, like turning over all those toxic ingredients in our home. And there's so much to choose from. Just want to give you a quick look to see all the options that we have. So I love this quote from Theodore Roosevelt, which says, "Do what you can with what you have, where you are." And I have had many moments in my life where I think, like, how did I not know this stuff before? But, you know, especially as moms, we just need to do the best that we can with the information that we have. And as we learn more about all of the toxins and the influences that we have in our world that can affect our health, we start to be able to be empowered about choices that we make. And again, the beauty I love about having oils on hand is that we have these solutions, and the more you get into them and the more you start to build confidence with them and see how they work and to trust them, they become solutions for, again, like 80% of the issues that we'll see come up in our health care at home. And so sometimes it's just the simple things, right? Like choosing organic food where we can. That's really important to my family, because we really believe that reduces a huge part of our toxic load. Having these oils, as I spoke to, at our fingertips has been an amazing tool. And committing yourself just to growing more. Like, we don't have to know all of it all at once, but just being able to grow more is really important. I find it helpful to just, like, there is a whole world. If you are not part of this, like, oils and natural health solutions, there are a lot of people who are a part of this world. And so don't feel like this is way too much for you. Really simple steps, and knowing people in your life that can support you in those goals is really important. So I just want to speak quickly to if you're ready to take a step, and if you think, you know, oils in your home is something that you're ready to experience and ready to take hold of, I want you to know how to do that and how to start. So the way doTERRA works is it's basically like, if you think of a Costco membership, okay? So you can choose to buy at retail price. You can go online. I can give you a link for that, and you can buy full price. To be honest, few people do that. And again, we have a very high retention rate with doTERRA because people start to get familiar with the products, love them, see that they work. And so most people opt to do a wholesale membership, which you pay for a year membership, and that gets you 25% off of all of the products. The beauty of doing a wholesale membership is that most people choose to, they want to get some oils in their home and get started. Many people don't have a diffuser, that kind of thing. And so we have options for these enrollment kits. And an enrollment kit, when you choose an enrollment kit, you waive your wholesale membership fee. You get the products that you get in the kit. You would never be able to buy all those products individually for the price of the kit. So it's a great discount already on the products that you're getting. You waive your enrollment fee. And it's just a super great way to get yourself started. Okay, so just going to quickly go through some of the kits that we have. There are varying options depending on how much you want to jump right into it, how committed you want to be. I knew right from the get-go, because I had already used oils, I knew that this was it for me. I wanted to, I loved doTERRA, and I wanted as much on hand as I could right from the get-go. And so I started off with this kit. It's called the Nature's Solutions kit. So, and then I'll speak to right now in September. It is still September. Yeah, still September. So as a Canadian, we have a Canadian warehouse and a US warehouse, and we can kind of double dip in whichever deals we want from whichever side. So right now, this is not the current price. The US kits are 20% off. So just keep that in mind as you're looking through this, okay? So this Nature Solution kit is beautiful. You get top like 10 of our super popular oils. It comes with some pre-made rollers of some of the really, really essential ones that you want to have, On Guard and Deep Blue. And you get this collection of On Guard products, which is beautiful to get you started off. If you know you want to start reducing your toxic load at home, you know, you have toothpaste, you have a cleaner, you have hand soap, changing out your shampoo and conditioner. So, and it comes with this beautiful Lumo diffuser, which is one of the best diffusers that we have. Covers a bigger space, and it's really just like really aesthetically beautiful. So you also get a Doterra Essentials book with this that basically gives you the essentials walks you through like what oils to use and how you can use them. So it is a great way to start if you're ready to just jump in. Some of the other options that are our most popular one actually is this Home Essentials kit. Okay, so again, keeping in mind these are 20% off in the States this month. And the Home Essentials kit is beautiful. This one on the right here comes with a pedal diffuser, which is a fabulous diffuser. You have different settings for 1 hour and 2 hours and 4 hours to keep that running. And it comes with our top 10 oils, all the ones that I just talked about. So it is a super great way to start. It'll get you right into the oil lifestyle. You'll have everything on hand. The Family Essentials kit, we used to call this our Family Physician kit or something like that. And it is also fabulous. If you already have a diffuser, it can be a good option if you're not ready for another one. So just keep in mind it doesn't come with a diffuser. And basically it's the top 10 oils as well, but smaller bottles. So sometimes people like this option when they're just like not quite sure, you know, like how am I going to incorporate this into my life? So again, the smaller bottle is a little bit less of a savings, but it's a good way to get started. And you get 2 beadlets, which are basically little tablets, little beadlet tabs that you can take internally. So peppermint beadlets and On Guard. It's a great way for somebody to start too. So again, just speaking a little bit to why it's beneficial to buy wholesale, right? So again, with those kits that I just mentioned, those are our most popular ones. There's a few others that I can go over with you as well if you want to know what all the options are. I just wanted to keep it short, to keep to the most popular ones. And so again, you're getting 25% off retail. And then there is this amazing program that is called Loyalty Rewards Program. And what it does in a nutshell is it gives you the opportunity to gain points as you buy. So things like when you are on this LRP, this Loyalty Rewards Program, anything that you pay in shipping, you get back like dollar per dollar in points. And as you go on through the months, every 3 months, you get a 5% increase in how much, on top of the shipping, how much you get back in rewards. So let's say, for example, you make an order of $100. When you start off with a kit, you start off at already 10% off. So I make an order of $100 on LRP, and I'm getting $10 in points back, so that for my next order, I already have $10 basically gifted to me. This turns out to be a whole lot in the end. There are people who, I didn't speak to it, but our number one product is our supplement line called Lifelong Vitality. And there's people who like that is really their lifeline in terms of having health improvements. It's a super, super great supplement line. And so there are people who will just order that every month. And through ordering that, they get rewards back, and as the rewards pile up, they will purchase oils with their rewards. So there's various ways you can leverage it, but it's a super fabulous way to just get more product for free, because we all love that. And then finally, there's something called the Product of the Month. So when you make an order of over 125 points by the 15th of the month, so up until September 15th, you get whatever the product of the month is for free, which it's usually a beautiful oil. This month, it was one of my favorite oils, which is lime I love lime oil. So I just placed an order, my usual order, and that came in the mail for me for free. So it's a great way to get some free stuff. So that wraps it up, guys. I'm so excited that you made it to the end with me, and I hope this was helpful. I hope you could hear my heart and my passion in this. Really, I just want to be here to serve, and so if you feel like this is something you want to know more about, or you are just like feeling like you want to fall in love with these oils and have that empowering toolkit at your house and in your home and in your life, I'd love to chat with you more. So please feel free to get in touch with me, and I would love to chat with you. Okay, thanks so much, guys. And you can connect with me. That's my email there. I am on Facebook and Instagram under the name Flourish Beginnings, so you can look that up as well. And then finally, just to end, a beautiful quote by C.S. Lewis. And I feel like this has just really been my journey, in my health journey, and I hope it can be yours as well. And he says, "Isn't it funny how day by day nothing changes, but when you look back, everything is different." And I just pray that that is, as well as mine, that is your health journey, that you can make small changes in your health that maybe even don't feel like a big deal while you're doing it. But as you look back, you'll be so thrilled at the results and how it has really empowered you to take control of your health. So that's it. You have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening.